Thanks for coming, everyone. It should be a fun session. I'll be your host, and a lot of exciting things to go over. I should say, Carla Xan has a great question, which is, will the slide deck be made available before the session starts? So the answer is yes. I put it in the chat as a PDF, and it's the very first thing in the PDF. Let me know if you can't see it. So it's a little, it's got the PDF logo. It's actually right above Carla's message. But thank you for bringing that up. It's a nice way of reminding me to tell everyone. So you can download it. And let's see. Oh, don't see it. Okay, maybe I'll read. Maybe it's not available if I upload it before. Let me upload it all over again and make sure it works. All right. Please load it again. Probably. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, give me a second. I'll go and get it right now.
Stephen, we can send it to everybody afterwards as well,
okay.
If someone doesn't get it.
Yeah. Okay, here it is again. Okay. Tell me someone if you see it now. All right, heart. Thank you so much. Okay, got it. Cool. All right, well, it's 10 o'clock. We got to start. So without further ado, my name is Stephen, and I have a little presentation here. It's the same as the PDF, but this is a Google Doc. So basically, I'm just going to go through these page by page. And next page is intros. So the goal of this workshop is just introduce you to ChatGPT if you haven't seen it before. And if you have seen it before, there's some interesting things you might not have considered. So hopefully you'll learn a couple things. This isn't a normal training. This is kind of a webinar, so it's all demo and not too much hands-on work. So we do, however, have classes with 2 levels, and there's one coming up September 22. There's another one on October 27 of level 1, and then level 2 you can see there. And there it is hands-on. So it's a little bit more extended. It's going to be from 12:30 to 4:30 p.m. If you want to register with them, you log into cpshr.us, and it should be pretty obvious where to go. So I do have a quick polling question. If you just put in the chat, do you use ChatGPT now? And then also on the same line, do you use the free or paid version? So yes, -free, no, -whatever. Okay. Got it. So not many people are using the paid version. That's cool. I'm going to show you some features in the paid version. Okay. Alrighty, that sounds great. And then unfortunately, we have too many people to ask your questions to ChatGPT, to my version of ChatGPT. So let's just get going. Here we go. So first off, where do you get ChatGPT? And what is it? So it's a chatbot, an artificial intelligence chatbot, meaning you type questions, you chat with it, and it comes back with answers. But the answers are actually very smart. They're artificially intelligent. So how do you get to it? You go to chat.openai.com. So this is a company, openai.com. I live in San Francisco. It's actually very close to me, practically down the street. And then this is one of their many products. So here we go, chat.openai.com. And then I want to log in, avoid all the salesmanship. And here's my login. And if you didn't have an account, you would just hit sign up here, and it's free for a basic version. So the paid version has some extra features, but the free version is free. I think somebody mentioned in the chat, there are times when it's often unavailable. So it's a very popular application. Lots and lots of people use it, and they all want the free version. So it does go out. There's some ways of getting around that, but we don't quite have time for that in this session, but it is in the normal training. So here we go. And it looks like this. All right. So you basically have a black column on the left and then this big area on the white in the simplest terms. And then let me go in. So it looks like this. Here's your black and white column. So basically this column is a list of conversations you've had before with this chatbot, this artificial intelligence chatbot. And this area on the white is where your answers are going to be. So if you click on one of these chats, you'll see stuff show up, your conversation on the right. So let me show you real quick. So here's a whole bunch of conversations I've had with it. If I choose this one, if I click on it, it brings it up. So it's at the bottom, but I could scroll up and it's whatever it is. That's a kind of a more technical one. If I went for this one, this one's a little bit simpler. But anyway, so I have my conversations here. Then there's stuff that I typed, and then there's the responses from the chatbot. So that's my picture. Here's what I typed. And then I waited a moment, and then here's what it came up with. And this keeps track of all of my chats for quite a while. So if I go down, it kind of has this infinite scroll. And then if I can't really search for it, there's no control F in here. But if I had something from the distant past where I wanted to look up whatever chat I had before, it'd be a little bit of a production. I would have to go here and then export chats and all the rest of it. And then I'd have to go and search through that document. So that part of it's not quite ideal yet. All right, let's see. All right, so throughout these little slides, I have just a tiny little kind of activity that I'll do, and then we'll see what the result is. So, and I also have like the actual question. So this is a kind of a shorter version of this. So my activity is I'd like to ask ChatGPT about a famous person with my last name, and there's a couple other people in here in the chat, so I'm gonna just use some other people's names as well. So here we go. I'm gonna say, let me just copy it and I'll explain it. So control copy, go back to my chatbot, and then I'm gonna do a new chat. Sorry, I forgot that. And then I'll just paste it in here. And that's the sequence of the way you do things. You hit new chat, and then there's some options here about which model you're going to use, the free version, which is what you probably see. And then I actually pay for the full version, so I have another option here. And then these are kind of like, here's what you can do. And then here's where you type your question, and it's called a prompt. And then as soon as it enter, it will actually go ahead and execute it. So let me move some things around so I can see that properly. Okay, so I would hit enter, but I need to have some last name. My last name is Fraga. I saw in the chat is a woman, Nicole Lee, and there's another person whose last name is just dead. So my question is, give me the full name and a 10-word bio of the most famous person with each of these last names. And then there's 3 people in here. So here we go. I can just hit enter, or I could press this button. Okay. And come up with an answer. And so there's the last name, here's the person, etc. Now those are probably correct. They might not be. There might be someone who's more famous that with your last name. Or it might just say, I don't know, if you have an unusual last name. All right, so that is our first prompt and response. Now I could ask more. I could say, tell me more about Lee. All right. And then these little percentages, I have set ChatGPT up. I've kind of customized it to give me a percentage of the likelihood that it's correct at the end of each of these responses. So you guys won't necessarily see that. I've kind of customized it, but I'm kind of curious, like, well, it's not very confident about this one, so that might not be accurate. And then I could ask, like, more detail, please. And then I'll give you more information. Okay, let's see. Somebody asked, like, why didn't it tell me the full names of these people? right? I asked for the full names and it just gave me back the last name. And the answer is I don't know. I'm not quite sure why it chose to do that. I was actually a little bit surprised to that. I've done this sample a couple times, like maybe 10 times total for the same exercise, and it's always given me the first name. Somebody asked, how do I set up the confidence percentages? So that's a setting that I think everybody has access to, the free and the paid version, but it's here. If I click on my name or on the three dots, either one, click on it. It's this feature right here called custom instructions, where, where I've set up to say, hey, this is all about me. And this, I can, if I have any tax questions, because of this corporation I have, if I have any questions about my cat's health, it'll be because I have these two cats. And then I have a little information about how I'd like it to respond, namely, like, don't be too verbose. And all right, let's see. Oh, and then, so I'm sorry, I missed the whole thing, which, how do you set up the percentages? At the bottom here in the output, I ask it, you should write the percentage likelihood you estimate of the answer of your answer being correct. And just the percentage, no additional text. It's very happy to talk to you. So you have to kind of shorten it, cut it off. And that's that. And then you can turn this on or off if you want. All right, so what is next? So we got that. And let's see, a second here. You know what, I'm realizing my computer is running out of juice. Let me just plug it in for a second. Go bear with me for 2 seconds. There we go. A bit shocked at that. Let's see. There we go. All right. So that is the first one. So next question, what is ChatGPT? Why is it called that? What's that about? So it's what's called a large language model, which is a type of artificial intelligence programming, basically. And then they have version numbers. So 3.5 is the 3.5 Turbo is the free version. And then the next version, which is smarter and has more features, is the paid version. So you have to pay $20 a month. And then you can also get stuff you just definitely cannot get with a free version. So you can download web pages. You can get it to create code and execute it. And then if you don't want to pay the $20 a month, you can also use Microsoft Bing, which does have that, does use the latest version. So the bottom line though is it's really just kind of like a little bit smarter if you get the free version of this. If you get the $20 a month, you get a lot of extra features. And then how does it know all this stuff? So it was trained on 45 terabytes of text data. So basically a lot of websites. So Wikipedia, CNN.com, NewYorkTimes.com, all sorts of scholarly journals from Google, patents, pretty much everything you can think of, and then a wide selection of actual websites. And where does it come from? So the lineage, basically, there was this one guy who wrote a paper in 2017 saying, creating this new model called a transfer model, and he titled the paper "Attention's All You Need," and everybody refers to that paper. So it's kind of like Satoshi Nakamoto with his white paper about Bitcoin. That was what made the whole thing possible. So in this case, it's a different paper, different person, but not so secretive as Satoshi Nakamoto. And then also there's an older version called GPT-3, which is out there and totally free. It's also, here's a little trick, it's also almost always available because very few people know about it. And they want either the latest for free or the very latest for a little bit of money. So if you're willing to go back a couple of versions, you can go to this URL and get it for free and type all the questions you want, and it'll almost always be available. All right, so for the activity, I'm going to try translating a scene from Romeo and Juliet. So I remember in high school, I read that. I couldn't understand half of it. It was all in Old English. So here is the actual prompt, which is a little bit more detailed. So I'm going to translate the scene where Romeo first meets Juliet into today's teenage slang. So let me copy that. Hold on, it's a bit hard to copy with the window. And then this is a different topic. I would actually probably create a new chat for this. Start from scratch and then paste it in here. Here's the paste. All right, there we go. And then moment of truth. Here we go. Oh, they're vibing hard. And you can ask it to create emoticons. So I wasn't totally confident about that. I could try the later version. So again, when I clicked on this new chat, I chose the free version, which is 3.5, the default. But I could have chosen the fancier, smarter version, and it would have been like, oh, okay, I'm 90% certain of this. So, all right, they're on their TikToks. All right, next page. And then this is a bit more boring, but just to let you know where things are, there's a ton of different acronyms out there, and it's kind of hard to figure out where the stuff is categorized. So all of this stuff, like ChatGPT is all, and everything else is considered artificial intelligence. Within that, there's a branch of our AI called machine learning. Within that, there's a branch called neural networks. Within that, there's a branch called large language models. And within that, because of that paper in 2017, this guy created the idea of generative pre-trained transformers. And that's where GPT comes from. I should have put that in the slide, but GPT, generative, meaning you generate text and images, pre-trained, meaning it's gone through a whole bunch of training data, and transformer, it's that kind of model. So then somebody asked, what is the link for the free version? So I'll just type that in the chat. It's in the PDF at openai.com. And then, all right, our next, I'm sorry. So the transformers, so this is one, OpenAI, the company, they have their ChatGPT, but there's other companies. There's one called Anthropic, also in San Francisco. And their version of ChatGPT is called Claude. And you just go to claude.ai, and it looks like this. And there's also another way of getting out of, I'm busy. So give me a second here. Let me do this. And then I could ask it the same thing. Translate that scene with Romeo and Juliet into teenage slang. Different chatbot entirely, and a little bit faster. It actually has some advantages over ChatGPT. So you can always try more of them, and we show you a whole list in the training session. All right, got to keep it low key. Okay, well, I'll let that go. And then Google has its own called Bard. You go to bard.google.com. Microsoft has one called Bing, which is based on OpenAI's ChatGPT, because Microsoft bought a portion of OpenAI. And there's a bunch more, but those are the main ones. So let's try another one of these. So here's something else you can get ChatGPT to do. So I got my teenage daughter to do like kind of a quiz for a history test she had coming up with ChatGPT. But for adults, you might ask it to prepare you for a job interview. So I have kind of a more full-fledged prompt here at the bottom. So I'm going to copy this and shoot it to right here. Okay, I'm going to do a new chat. Again, I'm going to use the free version for no real reason. I don't want to use up I have a certain limit for these, and I want to use them up. But just to show you also what you would get, because you're probably using the free version. So I'm going to paste my thing here, paste. And then here's the prompt. I want you to act as a skilled interviewer and prepare me for a job as a professional rat catcher in New York City. Ask me a question, judge my response, and then ask me to proceed with the next question until I say to stop. So I'm basically asking ChatGPT to take on a role, which is kind of a standard thing. You ask it to act as a professional, this or that, with 20 years of experience, and it tends to kind of improve its responses because it's been trained on all the data on the internet, whether that was good or bad. So you don't want to isolate just the good stuff. All right, I'm going to hit, here we go. Okay, so here's my first interview question. Okay. I hear scurrying sounds. How do I approach this situation? Oh, basement with water. So it's like, well, that's okay. It's not the most effective way of catching rats. So I could keep going, but I'll just say stop. And now it's all done. Let's see. So somebody asked, in your opinion, are there any significant differences between the others, I guess, and ChatGPT and Bard? I can't quite see all the context to that, but yeah, there definitely are differences. Like the ones from Microsoft and Google are a little bit more persnickety about what they'll let you do. The one from Claude is also kind of persnickety, less so than ChatGPT. So if you ask it, for instance, we'll try in a minute to tell me a dark joke, it'll kind of resist it against that. And the ones from Microsoft and Google will definitely resist you and not give you what you want for those. Each one, there's lots of kind of metrics where you would measure them, like how much can they keep in their memory at any one time? Can they offer any features like create images, which Microsoft Bing does do? And are they better at coding, which seems to be up in the air at the moment. It's hard to tell. Let's see. Somebody asked, are there any general AI guidelines for public agencies? That is a question I do not know. It's all very new. The questions I get in these classes are typically, does it store this information and use it in, can someone else get access to my answers? If I say my password is this, will someone else be able to access that? And the answer is generally no, but it's a little bit worrisome to try it. That did happen before with a company, I think Samsung, but I think that's been stopped now. But generally speaking, you shouldn't ask any questions and reveal any personal information. Yes, and then someone else asked, ChatGPT has a plugin for Visual Studio Code. That's a great help for coders and programmers, and that's correct. There's a couple other plugins. One is called Tab9. The other is I've forgotten. Forgot. Codex. Oh, GitLab. I can't remember, something or another. But anyway, let's move on. Okay, so we got our rat catching job interview. Who created ChatGPT? This is fast. I can do this quickly. So OpenAI, it's this company. They're in this building. Yeah, they're in San Francisco. I can't really see from this map, but they're in this area called The Mission. And it's actually kind of a sketchy neighborhood. There's like homeless encampments right around the corner. And then OpenAI is a company, so it does more than just ChatGPT. It does this other thing called DALL-E, which is text to image. You type a little prompt and it'll create an image for you. And because Microsoft bought a portion of OpenAI, you can access DALL-E from within Bing Chat. They created this thing called Whisper, which you upload an audio file and it'll transcribe it. And I tried it once with a really thick Irish accent audio file. I could barely understand it and it came out really well. They have some developer aids, which is just kind of coding help, more specific to coding. And they also do this weird little robot hand, which is this. And those are their main products. And then they started as a nonprofit, but somehow or another they turned into a for-profit. I think the nonprofit still exists, but they created another corporation. Microsoft owns a portion of the corporation. The nonprofit owns a percentage of the for-profit. And then the original founders of OpenAI own the remainder. So the sequence was Microsoft invested $1 billion, and then like a few years later, $10 billion. And we don't really know this, but the word on the street is that Microsoft owns 49% of the stock. And then somebody asked, are those programs all free? I don't think they're all free, no, but I can't remember. So let's try another one of these prompts. So I just said that OpenAI does this thing called DALL-E, which is a text to image generator, and we can get access to it here. So I'm going to copy this, and I don't want to have too many tabs going. I'll paste it over here. It's labs.openai. And basically the same kind of thing. I type my prompt over here, and then it'll create an image like one of these. And that's an example of a prompt. There's a different prompt. So where am I going to get this prompt from? I could just say, well, draw me a kitten. I think I need something a little bit better than that. Language to how this works. And so just like ChatGPT, there's some techniques. And here's a little trick. I can use ChatGPT to create a great prompt for DALL-E. So let me show you how that works. I have my prompt down here. So it's a prompt for ChatGPT to create a prompt for DALL-E. So I get a great. So here we go. Normally I do a new chat, but we're going to rush. So I'm just going to paste it in here. So here we go. I'm going to ask it, act as a professional prompt engineer with 20 years of experience, even though the stuff hasn't been around 20 years, still works, writing DALL-E prompts to execute perfect images. And generally when you're talking to ChatGPT, you're kind of like a bad boss. You're really demanding, you want to do everything perfectly, and it does give it a little better performance for some reason. It doesn't complain. So I'd like you to create a prompt perfect for DALL-E that will result in an extremely cute tuxedo kitten playing with yarn in a background cluttered with children's toys in a cozy home with a view out of the window of rolling hills. So it's very specific, but it's going to create an even better prompt. Here we go. Okay, so this is the prompt with quotes that I'm going to pass in to DALL-E, but I can tell just by looking at it that it's too big. It's not going to fit all in here. If I paste it in, it chops off here. So I'm going to need to shrink this. Let me delete that. So to shrink it, I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say reduce by 2/3. Okay, well, actually, here we go. All right, so this is the prompt, but usually these things just start, they don't need the verb create. So I just copy this stuff. This is what I want, an image of a cute kitten. And I paste it in here, and I click generate, and we'll see what it does. This is just a placeholder. Oh my gosh, the time has flown. It's already 10:27. So there's one tuxedo cat in the hills in the background. All right, let's see what's next. All right, so there are some limitations. Basically, it's limited memory, can only forget stuff after a while. And then, as I mentioned, it's often inaccessible. It won't let you download individual web pages. And then also, it doesn't know about anything after September 21, 2021 in the free version. For the paid version, there's a limit of 25,000 words that it can remember in each chat. And then there's another feature it has called Code Interpreter, but it's also not allowed to download pages. So you can't quite do everything you want with the paid version. So let's try and demonstrate that. Let's see. What are today's headlines? Let me copy that and see if it lets me do that. It says, nope, I can't do it. Sorry, I have access to real-time events. And if you asked it, has Russia invaded Ukraine? It'll say no. Same kind of thing. If I ask it to download a web page, it's going to say no. So here's, can you just download CNN.com? So I apologize, can't do that. And then I could also say, hey, what's an extremely dark joke? Probably not going to let me do that. When they asked, do I know when it's going to be on September 21? I don't, and they haven't released that. The other one I showed you, Claude.ai, does have more recent data. So very recent, in fact. So it can't do dark jokes either. Nothing offensive or inappropriate. All right, let's see what's next. All right, so a use case is code creation. So this is definitely an interesting one, meaning I'm going to get it to create code. So it can create different markup languages like web pages. It can create programming code, these codes, and it can create like 3D printing code. So you can actually create stuff and say, hey, I want to create a cube or something, and actually print it on a 3D printer. So here's the activity I'd like to try. I wanted to create a web page with a bouncing ball. So I need to be a little bit more detailed. So that's the prompt I'm going to use, create a web page. And I'll paste in here. So detail was that I wanted to create all the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript all in one file. It's going to be too complicated for me to put together 3 different files, even though that is the norm for these web pages. I'm going to say the web page should draw a ball that bounces up and down indefinitely according to the laws of gravity. So again, a little bit more specific. So it's going to think about this. It's going to do it. And then here's the output in a little console window. So I'm going to go up here and I'll copy it. And then it's in my clipboard right now, so I need to actually move it somewhere. So let me create a new file and just a text editor. Paste it in here. Here's the paste. Save it as a web page. And I'm going to say ball.html. And then I got to go find this. It is right there. So if I double click on it, there's my bouncing balls. So I created a web page. And then it created this CSS and JavaScript and everything else to do that. All right, let's see. And it can do lots of stuff like that. It's really impressive. Creating code is probably the most impressive thing it does. All right, let's get on to the paid version. And I know I'm a minute past time, but we have time to do this. So the paid version has this critical, super useful feature called Code Interpreter. It's actually badly named though. It makes it sound like you have to be a programmer in order to use this, and you totally don't. What it does is it creates some Python code for whatever it is you want to do, and then it'll execute the Python code and show you the results. So normally, like executing all that code, I would have to go and do it on my own. I can get the free version to create code, but I can't get it to execute it. So I'd have to like save it as a web page and double click on it, or I'd have to paste it into like a Python interpreter or whatever. So it writes and executes Python code. And then it also creates a whole virtual file system. It basically gets a computer going, a server. And then because you have this new file system, you can upload documents. So you can upload PDFs, spreadsheets, images, whatever you want. You can ask it to analyze PDFs, analyze spreadsheets, convert images from one format to another, turn an image into a video, all sorts of stuff. So let me show you an example. So here's my question. Let's say I'm leasing an apartment. Can I have a cat in my apartment based on the lease? And the lease is a PDF, a contract. So my prompt is going to be a little bit more detailed. Evaluate this PDF lease agreement and let me know if I can have a cute tuxedo cat in my rental apartment. So I do have a PDF. So to do this, I need to access the new features. So I'm going to click on New Chat. And then here's the paid version right there. And then this is a little bit of a complicated interface, but I'm going to use this code interpreter. So I'll click on it. And now I have access to code interpreter. So it's checked. All right, so I also see a little plus here that was not there before. And that allows me to upload a file. So I'm going to click on it. Here is the lease agreement I just found on the internet somewhere. So residential lease agreement. It's kind of a big one. And it's uploaded it. And I'll paste my prompt. And it has everything it needs. It has the PDF lease agreement and it has my prompt saying evaluate it and let me know if I can have a cat. So here we go. This might actually take a moment. Okay, so it's going to start launching stuff. This is the code interpreter. And I could click on this and it'll show me some messy stuff about what it's doing under the hood. So it's uploading the document, it's accessing it, it's converting it from PDF to text, which it can understand. Then it's feeding that text to ChatGPT to kind of analyze and find out about the clause. And it's saying, okay, I got it extracted from the PDF. It's going to search through the text for the stuff about pet policies. and specifically whether or not cats are allowed. Okay, so it's going to keep going. It's nice that it tells you kind of bit by blow what it's up to. So it's finished. And can I have a pet? Oh, it wants me to, yes, please go ahead. Saying, hey, it's a big file. Do you want me to keep going? So I say yes. It's going to come back in a minute. I think it didn't find it in the first chunk that it downloaded and interpreted, but it's going to find it in the second chunk. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead with one more thing. So last slide is about plugins. So it's another feature. And basically, it's kind of individual stuff created by third-party vendors. So you can do a lot more with this stuff because OpenAI is not legally responsible for what they do. They're legally responsible. So you can, offer all sorts of, services related to finances and law and taxes, and it's much less liability for OpenAI. So let's see first, go back and if our thing is ready. Oh, here we go. Found the relevant sections. Tenant, may pay a pet damage deposit, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't explicitly mention whether a cat or a tuxedo cat even is allowed or prohibited. So anyway, so it did actually get to the bottom of it. And the answer is we don't really know. Okay, back to this, the plugins, the last thing. So let me show you some plugins here, a couple. So Web Pilot is the most popular. It allows you to go out and download web pages. Show me diagrams. Well, like it says, you can get diagrams of, pie charts, bar charts, scatter plots, whatever you want. You can use the HeyGen plugin, where you give it a prompt in the text saying, create a video of, a mouse scurrying across the floor, and it'll actually do it, and you can download the video. You can use Indeed for job searches. They have a plugin. There's one for Zillow, but something's wrong with it right now, and I couldn't access it. But there's another one called TopHap, which I'll show you in a second. And then Zapier, if you ever used that before, you can actually integrate that into ChatGPT and get answers. So here's the activity: find the least expensive house in San Francisco. And here's the prompt. And I'll go back. I'll do a new chat. And then here I need to turn off this code interpreter, instead go to plugins. So plugins are here. And then they're all listed here. You have to go and get them. But the one that does real estate is this one. So it's already checked. And I'll just paste it in here. And we'll see what it does. And this one's inaccurate. I know that much. I think Zillow was more accurate, but now I can't get that plugin anymore for some reason. All right, while we're waiting for that, somebody asked, is it possible to compare documents and outline changes? Yes, certainly. You can paste in, say, what are the differences between these documents? And then you have to separate the documents with usually like 3 hash marks, or you could use just a blank line. But 3 hash marks is kind of like the standard 3 pound signs. Can the paid version of ChatGPT generate a document for you? Definitely. So that would be the code interpreter, where you can download it from the file system that it creates, and it'll offer you a link. So there's a link, but not for download. But definitely, you can create PDFs, you can create images, etc. So East Palo Alto, that's not what I asked for. I would say yes, specifically in San Francisco. So that's not what I want, Palo Alto. And so it's going to try to fix it and make it just San Francisco. And that's it. So I think we're all done. Let's see if it comes up with an answer. Oh, Oakland. Nope, no answer. All righty. Well, I know you guys probably have to go. I'll see if I can answer any more of these questions. We did record this, and I'm going to leave it to Karen at CPSHR to figure out how that's going to get distributed. I think they have your email addresses, and we'll keep this meeting chat and try try to answer the questions within it. But like I said, I would encourage you to check out the full version of the class, which is up here somewhere. There we go. So if you go to CPS HR, you'll see these classes listed. And thank you so much for joining. I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there's anything else here I can answer quickly. You don't have to take the first class to take the second. So the first is really for total newbies who have never even used it before or signed up for an account. And let's see, someone asked, is there a PDF? I'll put that in the chat. It got kind of scrolled, zoomed by, so I'll put it in there again. Let's see. Okay, it's going to scroll by again quickly, but it's in the chat again. That's a ChatGPT tips and tricks freebie PDF. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I just made that go to one person. Excuse me. Let me fix that real quick. Try that again. I did a direct message accidentally. Okay, there we go. I think I got it. Send it to everyone. Yeah, it's fascinating. And then the other thing that's interesting is there's another one called Midjourney that doesn't use chat. It creates images. So you saw DALL-E, but that's actually not like the most popular of those. Midjourney is the most popular one. And it's just amazing what you can create with that. All right, well, let me stop my share. And then if Karen, do you have anything you'd like to add in? If not, I will stop this recording, the meeting. And can somebody spell out Midjourney? So it's mid like middle and journey like journey. In fact, midjourney.com. Inside it is they used to have a free version, but they no longer have a free version. You actually have to pay a minimum of $8 a month. And then it's also kind of crazy because it integrates with this other service called Discord. It's actually kind of a little bit difficult to set up, and it's definitely harder to learn than ChatGPT. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for coming by, and I'll see you guys around.